Good morning and welcome back to the build. We had so many projects on our list this summer. It's a little bit hard to keep track, but since yesterday morning, Charles has been working on enclosing the plumbing under the yurt. It's going to make it possible for us to stay here through the winter because the pipes won't freeze. And he started by insulating the pipes where they were coming out of the ground and continued on with the floor joists. And let's go see where he's picking up that project this morning. How's it going down here?
Slowly. I'm just trying to figure out how to insulate this waterline pipe sleeve coming up out of the ground. I insulated all around it underground and then covered it back over, but I think I need to dig it back up so I can put an insulation box around the whole thing up to the level of the floor, because this is all got to be insulated too, because it's going to be open to cold air underneath the floor.
I found it super difficult to film this project, even for just a few minutes at a time, in a space where you can't stand up. So I can't imagine how hard it was for Charles to spend hours at a time under there, all hunched over and trying not to bump into things. It probably took about twice as long as a similar project would in a more hospitable space. And in the meantime, our little indigo buntings were growing up fast. There were 3 of them this year, since the 4th egg never did hatch. Charles is working with a mix of new and reclaimed materials here, including some pieces from the crates that contained the components of our yurt 2 years ago when it was delivered. We already used that lumber to build the mudroom for the RV when we spent the winter here, so this is the 2nd time it's been upcycled to make something new and useful. That makes Charles pretty happy, since he's one of the thriftiest people I know. Good morning. I hope everyone had a great Independence Day weekend. We're in the middle of it right now. We've been hanging out with family and not picking up the camera too much. But Charles has been on and off working under the yurt and getting that room done. He's made quite a bit of progress on that, slowly but surely. And today he is in the Bigfoot trailer trying to remediate a problem that we've been having with our solar batteries.
I'm getting ready to put a cooling fan in this compartment so these batteries don't get too hot. Somehow, and I'm not real sure how, one battery got low enough that it turned itself off. And for a while we were just operating at half capacity on the other battery. But because it was working so hard, it was getting hot. And so we would, once in a while, we'd have power go out. And it was because the BMS was turning this battery off because it was too hot. So when both batteries are operating normally, they are now, this compartment doesn't really overheat, or hasn't, but I'm going to put a cooling fan in here.
The indigo buntings are fledging today, so at least one of them has left the nest and the parents are busy keeping track of them. So Charles has the fan all hooked up. There's the temperature sensor right on top of the battery. It will turn on the fan automatically at 86 degrees Fahrenheit. It's running right now, but it's nice and quiet, so you can hardly tell. It'll turn it back off when it gets below 79 degrees Fahrenheit. Good morning. Charles got up early and he's been working under the yurt. He's been extending the duct for the exhaust from the bathroom and the kitchen. It is the second week of July and we just got back from a family reunion where people kept asking us, when are you moving into the yurt? And we didn't quite have an answer for them. But then we got home and it was air conditioner weather and we had to crank up the AC in the trailer and the yurt, where we've actually been spending quite a lot of our time since our kitchen has been complete, especially. One time since we've had our dishwasher, I did dishes in the trailer and I was like, why am I doing dishes in the trailer when we could be doing dishes in the dishwasher? So we've actually been taking most of our meals in the yurt and we've been running back and forth with laundry and dishes. Anyway, we got home last night and we said, you know what? Let's move into the yurt. So that's what we're doing today. Charles is trying to use these early morning hours before it gets hot to work under the yurt. So I'm going to go ahead and start getting organized. We're going to have the cats in the yurt by the end of the day, and we're actually going to sleep there tonight. We're kind of excited to do that, but overall, I'm just feeling a little bit overwhelmed and disorganized today. I feel like we've been in the process of moving for more than 2 years straight, and in a way, we kind of have. So it'll be nice to have one primary home. By the end of the day, that is the goal. Well, I just got into the trailer and found Pandora and what she's done to the foam. So you took the sheet off it, did you? Because you just had to get your claws in it? Really? Another question we got a lot at the family reunion was, how are the birds doing? We really don't know what happened to the robins. They just kind of disappeared into the woods with their 3 early fledgling babies. The indigo buntings have hung around the clearing. We can hear them chipping in the ferns, and we can see the brightly colored dad hopping from branch to branch, trying to keep an eye on his offspring as they learn to fly. And Mama Bluebird is sitting on 4 eggs. We can see her from the yurt window poking her head out of the box, and she likes to sit there and look out the window quite a lot. It's almost 10:30 a.m. on moving day. Charles went to town to buy some wasp spray. We don't like to use it, but he's got a couple of nests right next to where he's working under the yurt, and the residents have become a bit disturbed by his pounding. Oops, the utility room is not quite cat-proof. This may be a very small room, but Charles is making a pretty big door for it, so we can store bulky items if we need to. It will be well insulated, of course, like the rest of the room, and he's still figuring out how to rig a latch for it. But meanwhile, I think the yurt is ready for cats, and it's finally time to introduce Raven and Pandora to their new home. Why is your zipper broken?
is.
What you doing, sweetie?
A safe place.
You can hang out there for a while if you want. What's everybody still doing under the bed? You don't like your new house? I think you'll get used to it. As you can see, Charles is still playing Tetris down here because he can't put any of the stuff into storage in the room until the room is done. And in the meantime, he has to get around everything to put the door on. Charles still has to transfer a few personal items from the Bigfoot to the yurt, but I guess this is goodbye for a while. It almost makes me sad. We are very much looking forward to the room under the yurt being done. We're going to get rid of these boxes. And reclaim our space. And then we can finish that rocket mass heater. I think we've mentioned that this little cellar has two main purposes. One is to keep the water supply lines and the drain pipes from freezing, and the other is to be a storage shed for the shop vac and a few other miscellaneous items that don't really fit anywhere else. So Charles put up basically an oversized shower curtain to keep the two separate, just in case we ever did have a leak in there. We also invested in a leak detection system to make sure we never accidentally drain our cisterns. Maybe Charles can talk more about that, but for now I just wanted to mention that one of the water-sensitive devices is inside the plastic bubble. So it will be programmed to actually turn off the main water valve in the event of a leak. As I'm watching Charles finish the crawl space room that will hopefully make our plumbing ready for a Vermont winter, I'm thinking that it looks like quite an exercise in patience and persistence. And that makes me think about how Charles and I are now 26 months into our off-grid experience. And really, the whole thing has been an exercise in patience and persistence. And we have a lot more projects ahead of us, but we seem to be turning a corner here. Back when we were packing up our suburban house in Dallas, I could never have predicted how easy it would be to adjust to life in a 25-foot travel trailer. But I also could not have predicted just how nice it would feel to start living under the high ceiling of this circular 700 square foot studio apartment with all the modern conveniences that Charles built for us out here in the middle of the woods.
All the walls and the insulation are done in our basement. So I've installed our leak detectors in the spots we're going to have them, and I just got done installing our automatic water valve. So if these ever detect any leak at all, the water valve automatically shuts off. And we're going to put that to the test right now. So these work with, they sit on the floor, and if water pools up on the floor and makes contact with any of these, it sets it off. Or if water drips on the top and it pools in this little area, that sets it off. So all it really takes is a wet rag, and we're going to turn the water on, and we're going to try it. And it turns off, I think.
Good morning. Woo. What do you have to say for yourself, Pandora? Not much.